Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Ford, and we are here for a poetry discussion that involves a question that troubles me to my very core. Probably a question that if you've been around the channel for any amount of time, you could see coming, but nonetheless, it is a question that troubles me to no end. We are here for a poetry discussion that comes to us from Emily Dickinson, and in as much it will appear in two separate playlists here on the channel. Number one, obviously, the poetry discussion playlist, which is now nearing the 250 mark. Not near, but getting close-ish. And the Emily Dickinson poetry discussion playlist, which is now in the 60s. The poem in question today is We Grow Accustomed to the Dark. It reads as such: We grow accustomed to the dark when light is put away, as when the neighbor holds the lamp to witness her goodbye. A moment we uncertain step for newness of the night, then fit our vision to the dark and meet the road erect. And so of larger darknesses, those evenings of the brain, when not a moon disclose a sign or star come out within. The bravest grope a little and sometimes hit a tree directly in the forehead, but as they learn to see, either the darkness alters or something in the sight adjusts itself to midnight, and life steps almost straight. So this here, you've seen them. You've seen crazy folk. I've seen them. You've seen them. Passed them in life. Left them there because what are we to do? You've seen them. You know what I'm talking about. People who rant on the roadside. Individuals who are too far gone, with whom we might reason. For whom we might reason. Too far gone. Too far past. These people, how many of them were born that way? How many of them were born without the means to adjust in life and were that maladjusted early on? Did you know any of them in grade school? Probably not. Did you know any of them in middle school? Likely not. High school? Maybe a couple. It seems that there is a moment in life for these individuals after which there is no retreat. There is no going back. There is no returning to society. Could these individuals be shaken out of whatever it is that ails them? Could these individuals be brought back? Could they be resuscitated? Could they? Whether your answer is yes or no, there is a point where these individuals become accustomed to the dark. And I say that this, if you've been around the channel any amount of time, this wouldn't surprise you that I have these questions. I've been a loner my entire life. I've been a strange individual. I've been off doing whatever it is that Adrians do. I'm assuming if you've found me on this great wide web talking about Emily Dickinson poems, and you were here 4.5 minutes into a poem called We Grow Accustomed to the Dark by Emily Dickinson, surely you, on some level, are that weirdo as well. Just probably. I've got some hints. Where is the moment? Do these individuals know the moment that they become accustomed to the dark, where they are seeing in the darkness, where they are accustomed to midnight? And here's the thing. If you're living in the midnight and all of a sudden you open your eyes and you're looking at the noonday sun, it is uncomfortable. You don't want to be there. It hurts. These individuals who are gone, who have flown, who have become accustomed, who have grown accustomed to the dark, on the line of their life, they started here. They are now here. There was at some point this great break, or was there? So, there's that question of, if you took 1 foot and you divided it in half, now you've got 6 inches. If you divide that in half, now you have 3 inches. Divide that in half, now you have an inch and a half. Divide that in half, you have 3/4 of an inch. Where are you no longer able to divide it in half? At some point that exists, right? Our logic says that at some point that has to exist. Our logic says there is half of everything. Everything there is to have has a half. Half. Is that how those individuals get there? By halves. They wake up one day and half of their patience is gone. They wake up the next day and half of their ability to deal with other people is gone. And at some point, there are no more halves to have. A moment after which we, uncertain, step for newness of the night. Here's if that is. Okay, we're dealing with Emily Dickinson. Not to bring too much of the artist into it. The artist does not have to be brought into it. But if we do bring the artist into it, Emily Dickinson was herself incredibly maligned from society, was incredibly shut off from society, was incredibly isolated. Was there a point when that happened? Would she recognize it? Would she, obviously, those things are hard probably to recognize in real time. Would she be able to look back and recognize it? In her final days, would she be able to look back and see, yeah, there it is, the moment that I was theirs no longer? How does that happen? Where does it happen? When does it happen? Does it happen all alone? There are things you discover about yourself alone. All of us have them. There are universal truths about ourselves that we only discover alone, and probably we can't put any of them into words because we've never thought to do so. Is that one of them? Does this sort of isolation, this incredible loneliness that some people have, does this happen overnight? Do they wake up that different person, or is it slow and gradual? Would they recognize it in retrospect? Could they look back on their lives and consider those things which may have been different and left them in society? Would they choose to be in society? Emily Dickinson, in her final days, the great poet that she was, would she have looked back at that day in her life at 24 and said, if I had stayed outside with the company on that day instead of retreating to the isolation of the attic, my entire life could have been different. And these people that we can look at and recognize don't fit, not in a judgmental fashion, but simply as a matter of fact, simply as a matter of asserting, just as a matter of just acknowledgement. Say, okay, that one doesn't fit. Do they know? Do they know that about themselves? There's a homeless fella, hangs around my work, my place of work, hangs around one of the places that I go after work. And I do my best to help him. I do my best to reach out. I do my best to he's trespassed from just about everywhere, but he refuses to go anywhere else and start anew. The things that he's done in his past in these places make it impossible to not trespass him. For people's safety, trespass him. Still, as a human being, you do your best to help him. You do your best to sort of shepherd him along when it has to be like, hey, bud, you don't want to do this, right? One of these types of things. And you try to talk to him, and nothing that comes out of his mouth makes any sense. You try to give him an inch, he takes a mile. And then he doesn't understand why he has to be on his way. And maybe he does. Maybe he's feigning. Maybe it's a fake. But you have to wonder. And you have to wonder when he's saying these things to you. Hey, bud, why did you do this? I gave you a chance. And he speaks in broken sentences. Do they make sense to him? At what point did that sentence half make sense? When did he become too accustomed to the dark? And how many of us are on that same path? That's all I have for this poetry discussion. If you enjoy what I do here, hitting the like button really helps me out on this channel. It tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing that I talk about on this channel. I do poetry every Monday. I have novel read-alongs. I do short stories as well, a little bit of writer's stuff as well, all of that sort of thing. So if you hit the subscribe button, it will make sure that you are coming back or able to come back. YouTube will maybe tell you when these videos are uploaded because, hey, I hope to have you back for the next one.